Hey everyone, my name is Austin Corrigan. I am a Physical Security Services Manager at HBS, based out of our Des Moines, Iowa branch. Today I will be walking you through a demo of the Verkada Command system, which is the portal where you can access and control all your Verkada products. This is the Verkada Command main page. I'll start us off by going through some of the different camera features.
So to select a camera to go inside of it, we're going to hover over the camera we want to select. We're going to click on it. From there, we have a couple different options for cool features. One of the basic tools that Verkada offers is snapshot filter. So what that does is anytime that you want to take a snapshot of the still image within the camera, if I click on this, now let's say somebody broke in and you want to capture somebody's face as a still image. I can then select the snapshot button. It's going to take a still image of whatever the camera's looking at in that point in time. Some of the other cool features Verkada has is a live face blur feature. So if there was a certain area for like sled spaces or hospitals or any specific area that facial recording wasn't allowed, I can actually click on this live face blur and it's going to blur out any time that it detects a person within the field of view. Along with that, Verkada has a couple of different overlays that we could use, such as a motion search grid. So what it does is it lays a grid over top the camera where I can draw a motion box with my mouse. And anytime motion occurs in that window, it's going to give me video feed. The cool thing with Verkada Analytics is that the camera actually tries to predict on what the pathway is for the user inside the video feed. And it'll show that with the little green line that you see here with the arrow. Some of the other cool features are I could do a line crossing search. So let's say I want to see anytime somebody came in or out of that door, I could simply just click and drag my mouse to specific spots. And then I can choose whether it's exiting or entering. So let's just do exiting for demo purposes. And I go down here, it's going to show any time that somebody was crossing that line path and heading outside that door. With some of the analytics as well, Verkada offers the attribute search. So to utilize the attribute search, I can go to the people's button down at the bottom, and I can filter by people or by faces. So let's just say we want to search for a generic person, and let's say we want to filter by their appearance. So let's just select a red shirt, and let's do some blue jeans for demo purposes. So it's going to scrub through all the video for the last 30 days that's archived in the system, and it's going to pull anybody that has a red pigmented shirt and a blue set of blue jeans on or wearing blue pants. Another cool feature that Verkada has is the upload tool here over next to the search bar. To utilize this tool, I can click on the camera button here. It's going to bring up an upload section. I can then import any sort of headshot or picture into the system, and it's going to pull anytime that specific person has entered that camera frame. Now, from there, let's say I was using that to track a person of interest. Let's say Brandon here that I've uploaded, for whatever reason, isn't supposed to be on site. Now that that camera has tracked Brandon's whereabouts, I can click the three dots at the top right of the screen, and I can add a person of interest. So what the person of interest does, it allows Verkada to scrub through video footage. Anytime this person has been seen, it's going to bring up every instance that he's had within the last 30 days of recording. And what I can do is I can set alerts to alert me or whatever specific users they want anytime this person has been seen on a camera. Some of the other cool features with this is you can attach notes to it. So let's say you know why this person's not allowed on site. You can put the notes in there. So when you get that notification, you also get the notes section with it as well. Along with that as well, we can search by faces. So it's a little easier to navigate through other than searching people. So let's just pick on someone here and let's pick on Kevin. So if I click on Kevin's face here, anytime Kevin has been seen on film with this camera, it's going to populate the same as what the person attribute did as well. This just makes it scrubbing through faces a little easier than trying to see somebody's face using a full body image. Some of the other cool features that Verkada has to offer is they have a new AI search. So with the AI search, you can literally type in anything that you want to see. So let's say I want to search for a person carrying a water bottle across the whole command platform. This is going to generate an AI software that pulls in an image of any time somebody's been seen on camera holding what appears to be a water bottle. Outside of that as well, if we want to use the vehicle analytics, and I've switched over to the Fayetteville exterior camera just because they get a little bit more traffic. If I wanted to filter through vehicles, it's going to be the same way as I filter through people. So if I click the vehicles button here, I can then filter by color and by type. So let's say I want to look for a red car. So if I click the color red, it's going to bring up anything that's in the camera's view. Now let's say I want to add a type. Let's just say I want to look for a car. It's going to scrub through all those filters and it's going to bring up any time a red car was seen in that field of view. A couple other things I want to show you guys.
I always get questions from people having issues and wanting to see our Verkada PTZ 360s.
So our sales bullpen camera is actually 360. With the 360s, you have the option to do the normal traditional fisheye view, which is a stereotypical 360, or we can build it out to Verkada's PTZ mode. What this does is it actually breaks down the image and allows you to manually move around in PTZ mode. So if I want to go ahead and see what's happening in a specific spot in the room without utilizing the fisheye, I can then physically move around to see what's going on in my specific field of view. Along with that, you can also filter to a 4 square image and break it down so you can see it in 4 different chunks. One other cool feature I want to show you guys with the camera side of things is what we call incident reports. So with the incident reports, we can track specific instances to where something occurs that we want to keep track of. So let's say, for instance, I created this incident to where I took a camera feed from our warehouse of someone coming in here and taking some marketing equipment. It's just Kenley grabbing her normal marketing stuff. But then I can go ahead and put a watermark on it and file this as an incident. So when something occurs, such as like a slip, trip, or fall, uh, a child stolen from a daycare, something like that, we can create an incident report and have a summary so it's easily accessible, and we can export this incident report to send to the police. All right, guys, next we're going to focus on the access control piece. So if you go back up here to the all products page and open this window, you're going to click on access control. And it's going to bring you to our access control door here on our MDF in Des Moines. So to enter this door access, it's going to be similar to cameras. We're just going to click on the door. And from here, it's going to bring up our main page. So with that, a couple different things I want to touch on. So the first thing is the door status feature here. So I like to show this just so they know Verkada does track the status of those doors. So right now, this door is showing that it's in a closed state and it is locked. With that as well, if you scroll down at the bottom of the page, it's going to give you the different events that's occurred on this door in the last 30 days. So for instance here, we can filter by time range, users, or events. So the cool thing with the access control is I can filter it based on what event I'm looking for. So if I want to see how many times access granted has been assigned to the system, we could just click access granted here. And in the last 7 days, it looks like it's been used twice. So the nice thing about Verkada being an all-in-one platform is that I can associate a camera with a door. So when then I click on the actual door itself, it's going to show an event that was tied with that recording. So any second here, we should be getting a badge read and then somebody walking through that door. Now with Verkada, there is a pre-buffer and a post-buffer time. So as you can see here, badge has been read and been granted. And then we have said user walking through the door. With that as well, like I said, you can filter through different events such as access denied, anytime a door is held open. We can, along with that, pull reports over here. Now, let's say we wanted to pull a report of the last 30 days, anytime something's been access granted. So then we'll select our time range, our doors. We'll hit apply. And then again, our event would be access granted. So as you can see, this door doesn't get used very often just because it is in our MDF. But with that as well, I could export this report. So if I wanted to filter all events and we just wanted a random audit log of everything that's happened on the system in the last 30 days, I can then export that report. Another cool thing with access control is with Verkada, You have the remote unlock feature. So let's say this was a front door and somebody is outside that you want to be able to let in. If I click this little padlock right here, the status goes to unlocked. This door is now unlocked and anybody can walk through that door for the next 10 seconds. With Verkada as well, we could set overrides. So let's say we're a school and we have a PTO meeting tonight from 6 to 8. I can override this door to be unlocked for the next 2 hours. Okay. Once I click the override, my store status is going to change to locked or unlocked. Let's say that our PTO meeting ended a little early and I wanted to remove that. I could remove it. And the door is going to lock itself back down. And then again, it's going to show you your event with the audit trail on who made those changes. With access control as well, we could set schedules. So for businesses and schools that want unlock schedule for their doors. Now, let's say I wanted to have this door unlocked Monday through Friday. I would just click on the days. So for Monday, for instance, I would create a schedule. And let's make sure this says unlocked. And then let's go from 8 a.m. to 5. And then we want to repeat on these following days. I would hit done. Verkada also has a cool feature called first person in. What this does, it makes sure that whoever you assign the first person in. So let's say you're a small business in the winter and it gets really bad, especially up in like Wisconsin, where snow is bad and not everybody always makes it in. If I turn this on, and let's say I just want to add our Des Moines group in the supervisors, what this essentially does is it doesn't activate this schedule until one of the 5 people that's in this group badges into the system for the day. So where this is helpful is like snow days for small businesses. Let's say, the roads are really bad, but, let's say that Deborah made it in today and she's the supervisor. That schedule would then go into effect like normal and the doors would be unlocked. But now let's say that she didn't make it in, but Tim ended up coming in and he wasn't a supervisor. These doors are going to be locked down and you won't be able to get into the building with the schedule. You'll still be able to badge, but the door won't go on unlocked like it normally does from 8 to 5. So for training purposes, we'll just shut that off. And let's say I hit done. Then I hit save. So now as you can see, that schedule unlock schedule is from 8 to 5. If I go back to this door is now going to be unlocked. And it's going to show you that it's unlocked until 5 p.m. Now let's say, because I get a lot of questions saying, hey, can we put holiday schedules in on days we're not working to override that? So with Verkada, they have scheduled exceptions. So what I can do is I can add an exception. So let's say, just for instance, that we're at a school, and let's say that Monday the 14th is a holiday. So I would hit my start date of the 14th, my end date of the 14th. This says access controlled, which is what we want it to be. Now you can change this to be unlocked instead of locked. But for demo purposes, we'll leave it the same. So we're going to have access control from midnight to midnight. We're going to hit down here. We're going to name this holiday. And we're going to hit save. So now, Monday the 14th, this door will remain locked. So where this comes helpful is, like I said, holiday schedules, any teacher and service day, stuff like that, where they don't want the doors to be normally unlocked like they typically are. We utilize those exceptions for that. Some of the other cool features that Verkada has, they have a lockdown feature, which I know is popular, especially in schools. So with the lockdowns, we can configure events to happen when a lockdown occurs. So if I wanted to set a lockdown, I would configure a lockdown, and we'll just call this demo. My emergency message. Let's just put, someone has entered the school that's not authorized. We're going to hit next. We can then go and select by site. So the school has multiple buildings. They could do it by specific sites, by specific school. And I can even select specific doors. So if I only want 3 out of my 5 doors to be selected for this, I can choose that. Typically, I see them all, every door be locked down. But for this instance, we only have the one door at Des Moines. So I'll hit next. And the nice thing about Verkada is it's user-friendly. So with this, it's pretty specific. We want to select who can access the lockdown. So We're going to say, hey, Des Moines can activate the lockdown. We're going to do who can deactivate the lockdown. And then let's just say we want the admins to be able to deactivate and then can unlock doors. What this is if a situation happens in their lockdown, who is allowed to use the card reader still? So if I select this, and let's just say I want the HBS demo of one person to be able to get in, and I hit done. Now, whenever this goes into lockdown, Des Moines can activate it, the admins can release it, and then the demo user can still get in the building. The other cool thing with the Verkada 2 is from command, you can actually initiate lockdowns. So with lockdowns, you can initiate it from command from the Verkada app, or you can have panic buttons with Verkada that will also trigger lockdowns. So if I wanted to just send the building into lockdown, again, this isn't going to hurt anything because it's one door. I would click this lockdown. It's going to say, are you sure you want to activate? And then I would activate my lockdown. And then there would be a banner up top that says, hey, your building's in lockdown. Would you like to disengage? One of the last things I want to touch base on are access levels. So I always get questions like, hey, can we break down the system so only certain users can access certain doors? Now, with that, there's a couple of different ways we can do it. So typically how it's seen, we can go to our access users and groups over here, and then we can create a group. So let's say we have a group that we want to create, and we'll just call this cleaning staff. From there, we can select users within our system that have access control rights. So let's say I just want to add Alec here as a cleaning staff employee. I would then click done. And then under access, I would give him access levels. So from here, since we only have one door, I can give him access to the one Des Moines door. But let's say we're in a school that I have 10 different doors. I can select which of those doors that his card will work at. So for instance, we'll just add him to the Des Moines one here. So now when he goes in here and tries to access the system, he will get an access granted. The last piece of the access control that I want to go over is the badging system. So with this, the nice part about Verkada is they have a built-in badge designer template. So if I want to design my own badge, I could go over here to the add template section, and I can pick and choose what I do on my badge. So I can apply my own logo, we can assign pictures, and we can design this badge how we want it to be, and then we can print it directly from this software. This is super sleek and super easy to use, unlike other softwares that are out there. Let's transition to our last couple devices that we have. So I'm going to go back up to my all products page. I'm going to go to air quality. So with the air quality sensors, there are different types of sensors you can buy. So the SV23 air quality sensor is going to monitor a few things. So if I click in on this sensor, it's going to show you all the different measurements that it takes. And on the right, it's going to show all the events that happen within the thresholds that we've set. So where this is typically useful, I see a lot of people using it for vape detectors and bathrooms, humidity within IT closets. Just gives them a little bit more peace of mind because we can set these events up to trigger alerts. So if a temperature threshold is met, we can have it send an email to the user saying, hey, there's too high humidity in your IT closets, your switching and stuff is at risk. We can send the different alerts based on the temperature settings. The nice thing about it as well, we can go through specific events, we can click on them. And since this is paired with a context camera, it's going to pull up that specific camera feed at that time. Another cool feature is the dashboards. So with the dashboards, you can create special dashboards of certain criteria that you want to monitor throughout the day. So I've made one for demo purposes. So I click in on here, it's going to give me my dashboard that I've created for the areas that I want to focus on the most, along with the gauge reading, which indicates where it's at based on the perimeters we've set. So all the green is going to be within correct measurements, and anything in orange or yellow is going to be kind of a cautionary color, and then red's going to be you're past that threshold. With that as well, you can go to the analytics page, just like the cameras, and you can kind of see how many different instances occur for each device. So as far as the next product goes, we're going to go with the alarms portion. So with the alarms, this is an intrusion device. So a couple different ways that they can do this. Verkada, the nice part about it is the cameras have motion detection built into them that you can use as a motion detector on the alarm piece of it. So if I'm going in here to Des Moines, right now we're armed because we have a schedule. If I click in here, it's going to show me all the different events that's happened within the system. So somebody came in after hours, so it raised an alarm on the motion detector on the camera. So if I wanted to click in on here, it's going to bring up my camera feed, and it looks like it's an HBS employee that came in. So with that, I can see the details. So the site was armed by the schedule. Alarm was raised because Jesse came in after hours, and we can resolve this case. Let's say it's a false alarm. We can resolve it, and it gives you a couple of different options when you go through the steps here. It's going to ask you a couple of additional questions once it catches up here. So that's going to say what type of alarm occurred. We're just going to put that it was a test alarm. We'll put HBS employee came in after hours, so we can track that later. And then you can choose whether to share the data with Verkada or not. So we'll hit submit. With that as well, you can put whether the police arrived or arrest was made for your own tracking down the road. With that as well, I can go in here and physically arm the system. And it's going to say whether you have any sort of issues with the alarm setting. With this one, the door sensor is no longer a valid thing, so we can continue to arm. And now our system's armed again, ready to go to make sure that nobody breaks in at night. With that as well, as far as your devices go, you can see every device that's enrolled on the alarms portion. Like I said, with Verkada, you can utilize the cameras as alarms, as well as the environmental sensors. Similar to cameras and access control and environmental sensors, we can go to the reports, and it's going to give me a report breakdown of every time that a motion was detected during an alarm period of time, and so on and so forth. We can do by device. It'll tell you whether it's online or offline, just so you guys can keep track on which devices are enabled or what's not. And then we can go to verifications, which with the verification, you get with the base license 100 video verification. Since this is a demo, we won't have any verification. What this is Verkada gets in and looks at camera feeds to make sure that what's really going on is a actual offense, and then they can verify before they dispatch police. The cool part with the alarms as well, if I go into my settings here, with the alarms, Verkada actually gives you the ability to customize how you want the system to react. So let's say, I want emergency dispatch anytime that the alarm goes off. Again, this is off because it's demo purposes. But let's say a customer has this installed and every time the alarm goes off, they want emergency dispatch. They can choose that along with a contact list of who to notify after hours. So like I said, for demo purposes, I have myself and Danny Armentrout as our recipients for testing purposes. And along with that, you can add different action items such as alarms and other devices that they might have on the system. The nice part about Verkada alarms as well is you can use the card access to arm and disarm your alarm system. You can select the actual doors that you want to disarm or arm the doors. So if a customer says, hey, I want to be able to come in the morning and the alarm already be turned off, I can add doors if they have specific doors or readers that they want to utilize for that. Same with arming. Or I could do an arm schedule like we have currently where I can physically set a schedule on when that alarm automatically arms itself. Same with users and key codes. For a site where they have a keypad alarm, we can manually import key codes for everybody to use to disarm that alarm system. We're now going to move over to the intercom portion. So with the intercoms, same as cameras, we'll click on our intercom. We do have one intercom at the front. So this intercom actually records the video footage as a normal camera. And a couple different features you can use with this that are similar to the camera. or you can do a snapshot. So if somebody's up here wanting to get in, they push the button to the intercom. We can snapshot a picture of them. A couple different options we have, or we can talk down to them. So we know somebody's outside and they might not know to push the button. We can physically push this button and talk to them directly, or we can pulse unlock the door, similar to what we did with the car access system. The other cool thing with intercoms with Verkada is if you go to the events tab, it actually tracks all of the calls made for you. So, for instance, we had a visitor today at 10 o'clock that Allie let in, and it'll show you for an audit trail that Allie unlocked the door at 10:05, and it took a snapshot of the person's face that came inside the building. We can choose to set our manual receivers. So, with this, I have a schedule set up from 9 to 5 that whenever an intercom is pushed, it's going to dial a specific call list. So if I want to edit that call list, right now I have it set up in ring groups. So I have Allie and myself. It's Allie's the front desk receptionist. It rings us 9 to 5 whenever that button's pushed. I can add as many users to this as I want, along with how I want to receive it. So if I go over to edit my profile here, right now I'm only getting that intercom through the web browser and a mobile phone. So if I wanted to actually include my mobile phone in here, I can enter my phone number. When that button's pushed, it'll ring my cell phone, and I can choose to unlock the door using my keypad on my phone. A couple different integrations that work with Verkada. We can integrate Microsoft Teams. We can also tie them straight to their SIP phones. Another cool thing with Verkada as well is we can also schedule after hours calls. So let's say somebody outside of the 9 to 5 comes in. Let's say we know we're going to have a late delivery tonight or tomorrow morning. We can choose if we want after hours calls. So let's say, somebody's not going to be logged into Command. We can have it dialed directly to their phone after hours. Similar with the cameras and the alarms portion is, we'll have global events. It's going to show you anytime that events occurred, any calls, any admitted calls, as well as reports. So if I go to the reports page, it's going to have an audit trail of who allowed people access to the building so that I could export that if I ever needed documentation. The last cool feature with the intercoms is if I go to the dashboard here, similar to the environmental sensors, it's going to show me statistics for that intercom. So you can choose this for the last 7 days, and it'll show you your missed calls, your no entries, and your admitted as a statistic for you guys to track progress. It'll also answer who answered the most calls, who unlocked the most, and the fastest receivers. Kind of some fun information that might not be useful to your customers. Some might find it cool, but I just wanted to bring it up so you guys can kind of see the different features that it has. The last part we're going to touch base is the guest management. So if I click on guest management and I go to, let's pick a specific day that I know I had some guests. So on October 8th, we had 2 guests come in. The cool part about Verkada is if I click in on one of these guys' names, it tracks their photo ID, what time they visited, what time they left. It does the background screening and okays them to be on site, as well as their phone number and any sort of NDA compliance or surveillance consent that we provide them. So I can actually click in and download these and bring up their actual signed documents. So where this might be useful is if a specific customer is doing anything with NDA, or they have their own documentation they require contractors to sign before walking through the site, we can include custom documents on here. As well, what this does is it automatically imports him into Verkada and brings him up on camera wherever he's seen. With that as well, we can send invites. So let's say I know I'm going to have an event at the office, or we have some customers coming in. I can physically go in here and I can set up invites and copy it and tag it to an Outlook event or a Teams calendar invite. And they will actually get a registration link sent to their email or that invite, to where they can come up with their phone and swipe their QR code on the Verkada guest management iPad, and it'll print their badge and do their background checks for them. Similar to the intercoms, we can go to analytics, and it'll give you whatever you choose for duration. as well as how many visitors you've had, and just some of the more high end analytics that customers may want to see when they have their guest management up and running. So with the custom invites as well, we can actually go in and go to our settings page and see all the different things that we can customize. We can go to the manage documents page and we can add documents that they require to be signed before entry. With that as well, the guest management is completely customizable based on the colors of the business, as well as having approved and denied lists. So, like, I can go in here and set a list of approved vendors that are pre screened, that every time they come, they don't have to go in through the sign in process every time. Same goes for the deny list. I can import a custom deny list that when users come to visit and they're on this list, they can't access the building or have a badge printed out for them. That ends our product demo. A couple things I want to touch base on. Down here at the bottom left, there's a help button. You can come here to contact Verkada directly or provide feedback if they have issues or questions with any of their products. I also like to take them to Verkada's webpage at verkada.com/support stats. When you go there, it will show them the real lifetime support and the estimated time for them to answer support.
Thanks so much for joining us today. If you want to learn how HBS can implement Verkada for you and your organization, visit our website at hbs.net/Verkada.